welcome to the first part of my greenhouse building project. Now I'm having to do this because my old plastic one blew away in very extreme winds that we had over here in the UK a few weeks ago. Now what I'm looking to do is to build a proper base for my greenhouse, which will be paving slabs. I'm building it on what is a part of my lawn, so I need to lay the paving slabs onto that first. I'll show you what I need first to prepare it, and then we'll look at how to progress over the next few days. Right, just a quick word about the measurements of your paving slabs relative to the size of your greenhouse. Now, I wanted to make sure that I had a good space to play with, so I've gone quite a bit over with the size of the actual area of the paving slabs compared to the area of the greenhouse. Now, my greenhouse is 6 foot by 6 foot, or in metric that's 185 centimetres by 185 centimetres, it's square. But with my paving slabs, I've gone for an area of, you can see here, 240 centimetres by 300, and that fits into my space that I've got very nicely. But also you can see here that I've got a good space for the door opening. This measurement here at the top is where the door will open. So the door will open here. Along here, I've actually got a step, which is part of my patio. So I had to leave a good space for my door to open. Otherwise, it would crash into the wall at the edge of the patio. So on the edges, I've got a space of, I think it's about 30 centimetres either side, so that should give me a nice space to deal with. The other ones that I worked out with different sizes of slabs or different measurements would have made it significantly tight. So think about that before you start. Give yourself a good space. It's better to have, I think, too much space rather than too little. Okay, so this is the space that it's going into. Now, as you can see, I've got chickens here and my raised beds here. Currently got broccoli and Brussels sprouts in. So that's the site of the old greenhouse, which quite honestly was quite a bad position because it was under trees, so, well, partially under trees. So it's going to go here. It's roughly going to spread out the whole width of this. I'm going to pave this area and then it will go out a little bit there. Now, when you're looking at greenhouse siting, you need to make sure that it's going to get some good sun. If you think about the apex across the roof of the greenhouse, that needs to run north-south or south-north rather than east-west. Now, my last one, when it was there, was actually facing the wrong direction. Just if you have it running south-north, it means that it gets the sun at all times of day coming in through the roof, both in the morning and in the evening. So it's really good. Obviously, if it gets too hot, you can put shading up and that sort of thing. But let's get going with the marking all the area out first, and then we can get a good idea. Okay, so first of all, you need to make some very, very good detailed plans. You need to get your maths into gear, and you need to start working out the area of the space that you've got and what paving slabs will work best. Now, I'm going for 60 by 60 centimetre paving slabs. Basically, that was the best that I could get into the space that I've got. I'm getting mine from Wicks, but you can get them in lots of different places, or even try and find reclaimed ones if you're able to pick them up and collect them, because they are quite heavy. Now, I need 20 slabs from a space that I've got. So you need to also then work out how much sand and cement mix that you're going to need. We'll look into that a little bit later. But first of all, what you need to do is mark out the space on your lawn and just have a really good look at it and see if you're happy with it before you actually start to buy anything. Okay, and this is what you need to do that job. Okay, first of all, you need some builder's string. Now, this is just basically like string, but it's very strong and it's fluorescent, and it won't snap if you just accidentally walk into it, and you can see it because it's nice and fluorescent. Tape measure, obviously, and tent pegs. So what you're going to do is you're going to measure it out, put tent pegs in, and then you then mark it out with string at the level that it's going to be at. Now, in terms of tent pegs, you can see I've got two different kinds here. These are just basic tent pegs. Now, my soil is very, very clayey, and it's also got quite a lot of flint in it because it's in Kent. So I've also got these what are called rock pegs. These you can buy in any camping shop or whatever, but or on Amazon, and they are just very strong pegs, and you can just basically just whack them with a hammer and they will go through anything, and they're pretty good. So if you've got bad soil or difficult soil, then I'd advise you to use those. Of course, if you've got decent easy soil to hammer into, just use bamboo sticks or anything else, any other kind of sticks you've got, just to mark your space out, but make sure it's accurate and then you won't go wrong. Okay, so I've now got the string round. As you can see, I measured it out. This across is 240 centimetres, and this down here is 300 centimetres. Now you can see what I mean about the door. So the door is going to open here at the front, and I needed the clearance because otherwise it would bang into that little bit of wall there. Now, some videos will show you that you do need to use a builder's set square, which is basically like a giant set square that you've used in maths, but massive. Now, I took the decision that I didn't need it, partly because they're quite expensive, but also because I have got a wall here, a boundary wall here, and also I measured this out quite well at the time when I created this these raised beds, so I know that's straight. So basically, and the string, once you've got an angle, the string will give you that right angle, or should give you a straight line at least. So I wasn't too perfect about that. We may live to regret that, but we'll see. Okay, so that's the string down. Next job is to start digging out the turf, just the top layer of the turf, so that we can create a base underneath to put the paving slabs on. So just a quick rundown of what you'll need. Wheelbarrow to put your turf in, and then you need now this is an edger tool, this one with the orange handle. I have this anyway. You probably don't need it necessarily, but I thought it might be quite useful just to make sure we get a straight edge. Normal spade to dig it all out, and a ruler just to get the depth. Now my paving slabs are about 50 millimeters deep, and the sand and cement mix I'm going to use to lay it on also needs to be about 30 or 40 millimeters deep. So I'm going to go down to a depth of about 100 just to be safe, just so that I can allow for sort of leveling off and things like that. So I'm just going to make sure I know exactly how much 100 millimeters is with my ruler. Wheelbarrow, obviously quite important to transfer your turf. Now make sure you've got a place to put your turf. I'm putting mine at the back of the garden. I've done that before when I've been clearing areas of my garden. If you put it with the grass facing downwards, eventually the grass will die off and you'll get some nice bit of topsoil. Okay, let's get digging. So we've now got the area we want all dug out. We think it's more or less level. It's not perfect, but it will do. Now here we've got a mix of sand, which is from these big bags of sand here, and cement. We mixed out 8 parts, so that was 8 shovels through, of these shovels, of sand to 1 shovel full of cement, and we've mixed those together. And we're now going to tip it into this area here. Ready? Yeah. Steady, go. Okay, we're now at a stage where we're levelling off the sand and cement mix. We started again this morning, and we are starting a process called screeding. Now what you need to do this is you need to get some little copper pipes well, when I say little, they're long, but they're very thin. These ones were about £6.70 each in our home base. You can see them embedded into the sand like this. We made sure they were level using the spirit level, and then we just bought a plank of wood which was exactly the same length as our area, so width of our area, and then we're basically dragging it along the poles, and as we're dragging it, it will scoop off the sand and keep it nice and level. So we're going back over it several times just to make sure it's perfect, and so far it seems to be working extremely well. Okay. Okay, now we've now finished the screeding. We are pretty certain it's level. We've still got the wooden plank down there, and we've still got one of the copper pipes down. So we're just going to take those out, and you can see one of the copper pipes here. We're going to take that out, and then we are going to just slightly fill it in with a little bit of extra sand where the pipes were. Now, one thing to mention is that we did actually make a mistake when we did it, because we literally backed ourselves into a corner. Literally, we started here and worked there, and got to the end, realised we were going to get backed into the corner, so we started the process again, which was quite quick actually. We just went back down along there so that we didn't finish up backed into the corner. So just bear that in mind when you do it. Okay, now for the next step, which is a nice drink. Okay, we've now, it's quite late in the evening, we've now finally finished laying the paving stones. Some of them were very wonky. We had to keep lifting them up, and they were quite heavy, and having to put more sand underneath them and level them off. We thought we'd got a pretty level playing field to start with, but obviously it's not an exact science. We think it's pretty level. It's very difficult. I'll have to just correct a couple of them tomorrow. But I think it's looking like a pretty good, decent job. Yeah, tomorrow or whenever, in a few days' time, we need to just fill in the gaps between them with another mixture of sand and cement. And then the job's done and it's ready for the greenhouse. Yeah, quite exciting. We worked very hard, and we're now quite tired. Hi, so we're now on to the next stage of laying the patio. What we've done now is we've completely straightened them all out and made sure they're not wobbly. As you can see, I marked on some of them with chalk, and so that I knew which ones I had to move and either heighten or lower or put more sand under. I'm pretty sure that it's now pretty level. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill in the cracks in between them just to make sure they're really secure. So what we need for this job is your normal builder's sand that we used last time, the sharp sand, and some cement. Now this time we're going to mix 4 parts to 1 part, so 4 parts sand and 1 part cement. So basically it'll have a high concentration of cement in it. And then we basically are going to brush it with our brush or the big broom into the cracks, and then push it down with a pointing trowel. Now I'm gonna take a time-lapse video so you can see the work in action, and then it should all be hopefully complete. Right, so we've now finished filling the gaps in. I'm pretty pleased with the job. It looks quite good, I think. What I did was, after I'd filled it in, was that I just gave it a little, a slight bit of water to it, mainly to just make sure that it sort of solidifies inside and doesn't just sort of turn into a dry dust. This should help it to sort of stick, and help with the adhesion, I'm going to give it another look at it tomorrow, just to sort of see how it's going, and I can always add more in if necessary if there's still some gaps. But I think it's looking pretty good. I'm quite pleased, and we should be ready to leave the greenhouse in a few days. Some of the flagstones I think are slightly stained. At the moment they look wet, but I think they're very slightly stained with the cement, possibly, but they may dry out. If they are, it doesn't matter too much anyway, because at the end of the day they're going to be under a greenhouse and they're not particularly decorative anyway, so I think it's a decent job.